No, I'm not doing another day. I'm just not doing it. Honestly, it's unreal. It's unfucking real. I had the most traumatizing day ever yesterday, which is mainly noise based. Honestly, yesterday was just so bad. I'm going to tell you all about it. And I've come out here to tell you all about it. It's 9 in the morning. I'm in the middle of a forest and there's Vin Pop in the background. I don't know if you'll be able to hear it, but basically it's Vietnamese dance music. It's 9 in the fucking morning. I'm so devastated. I'm so devastated. I think the reason I'm so devastated, you know, for those that have been following the journey, they know, but recently, so I've really been struggling with noise. Noise is a major problem in this world. There's so many NPCs, retards, brainless animals that have been shipped over from sub-Saharas who can't have an internal thought. They're not capable of it. And they're just constantly in the external and constantly keeping themselves in the external, like with speakerphones and noises and shorts and crap music about murdering people and shagging and drugs, like just retard music that then our kids start listening to and start fucking acting like wiggers, and it's just disgusting. The whole thing is disgusting. So this is a worldwide problem, but Vietnam is exceptionally noisy. Luckily they only play that horrible fucking sub-Saharan music in expat cafes, so I can't even go in the expat I can't even go in the good cafes because they play fucking their music, the devil's music. So I've been really struggling. Like, there's many things I love about Vietnam, don't get me wrong, but the noise is killer. It's absolutely killer. And then about a week ago I found a haven. Out here in the forest, and yeah, you still get that. You still get the Vin Pop. You'll never get away from Vin Pop. You'll never get away from karaoke. But that's, you know, I only hear this when I walk, and it you know, it's probably 1 every 5 times. It's not that big a deal. And the crazy thing is, they don't seem to play it for too long. Like, you'll hear this horrendous music across the whole valley, and sometimes they only play it for 15 minutes. It seems very bizarre. I remember karaoke, it's twice a week, and that's like deeply embedded in their culture, and yes, I hate it, but you know, it's like, well, I'm in Vietnam, karaoke is going to occur. And there's even opposite, and I mean opposite like across the valley, but doesn't mean much because noise travels easily across valleys. There's even a police dog training centre. So, you know, this sanctuary that I found isn't really a sanctuary. You know, there's already a lot of noise going on, and then of course in Vietnam building something in the same site, but then, you know, it's just the decorating phase. But basically, you know, there is noise, but it was so much better than where I'd been, which was, you know, just constant noise. And in the forest, and a beautiful space, like just a stunning space with a big balcony overlooking all this. Just amazing. Now, it's a semi-detached house, and I haven't even rented half of it. I've rented 1 bedroom in half of it. So officially the business plan, I mean, I think officially the business plan is to find families, because I can't believe the business plan they presented to me would ever work. The business plan they presented to me, seeing as I'm a singleton, was, well, you can rent a room for 300 quid a month. There's 4 rooms in the house, and anyone else could move in at any minute. I was just like, oh, no thanks. And we're like, oh, well, we're very quiet at the moment, so we can basically guarantee it you for 5 days alone. I was like, oh, that's sweet. And then I was like, what about the next 2 weeks? And they held off a little bit, and then they were like, yeah, we'll guarantee it you for the next 2 weeks, but you have the best villa. So if somebody rents the villa for a vacation, then are you all right to do villas? And I was like, yes, of course. Now, naively, when I saw these villas and the standards of these villas, I just assumed that only expats would live in them. I didn't really think about Vietnamese holidaymakers. You know, there's many Vietnamese that would make lots of money who live in Saigon, for example, Ho Chi Minh, and then come to Dalat for a weekend. So that was very naive of me to, you know, it could really work if it's almost worth making a friend for. And I was thinking yesterday, if I made a friend with somebody as equally as lonely as myself, that's the wrong word, with somebody as equally isolated through choice as myself, who does as little as me, who doesn't listen to music or anything retarded like that. If I could get them to rent one half and I rented the other half, that could work quite well. Anyway, so yesterday started badly, because in the morning I had the staff, who are all really amazing, really nice people, turning up at 8 AM to clean the house that I was in and me moving next door. So straight away, like, just being around people first thing in the morning threw me off a little bit, and I actually found myself waking and baking. First time in fucking ages. Not literally, like, but after I'd moved, I had half a smoke left from the night before, and I just it just threw me. I was just like, fuck it, today's not gonna happen, let's just write it off. So it was already, you know, gonna be a shit day. And then, so I have 2 phones and a laptop. Pretty crucial. You know, I'm a YouTuber, it's how I make a living, and I'm also addicted to screens. So, just crucial. Like the idea of going a night without any sort of distraction, entertainment, that's way too much for me, man. Way too much for me. But it's interesting, because those who have been following the videos on this channel will know that, you know, I've been dancing on the edge of this for a while. I've been spending time out here every day. I have been spending much more time in silence. And it's kind of what I crave. I actually crave silence, but then when I receive it, I'm like, ooh, I don't like how that feels. Ooh, I wasn't aware of that. Ooh, can I just stare at some fucking twat talking on his screen instead? So, you know, it's I'm on that edge. I'm on that edge of surrender. So this phone, my main phone, stops working at about 11 in the morning. And by stops working, I mean it just won't connect to the internet. I have 2 SIM cards and obviously Wi-Fi on this phone. It just won't connect to the internet. It's a bit strange, but I don't think too much about it. I just switch on to my other phone or my laptop. And then about 2 in the afternoon, they both stop working. Exactly the same thing. And on my laptop, I get this. So that, it says something like your internet traffic has been intercepted. So I'm just like, oh, I've been hacked. Fantastic. One of these lunatic haters that hates themselves so much they have to obsess over somebody on the internet. They have to think about somebody on the internet more than they think about themselves. Because the minute they focus on themselves, they're like, whoa, a whole world of pain. I was like, one of those fucking retards I was going to say, is obviously not so retarded, or more likely has paid a geek to fucking hack me. And I'm like, how does that even happen? Like, how would they know which ones are my phones and which ones to take? But then this is a whole world that I don't understand. So, and then obviously with that, I felt like I dealt with it quite well. So for about 3 hours, I believed I'd been hacked, and I dealt with it quite well. Obviously there was you know, I mean, this is big actually, because it's like, okay, so they've stopped me going on the internet. That's really frustrating. But what are they doing now? Like, have they got into my YouTube? Have they deleted my channels? You know, when a disaster happens, I don't know if you office workers have ever really experienced it, but, you know, a death in your family perhaps. But for me, there's been like There's been so many disasters, but there's been like 3 or 4 that stand out where you're just like, okay, so let's say the minute I realised I was going to jail in Thailand, I'd been kidding myself up to that moment that I was gonna win in court. I did win in court actually, but they didn't care. They still put me in jail. So when I realised that the court system doesn't actually exist, and even if you win, that they'll just do what they want anyway. Yeah, when my solicitor told me that I'd given him £8,000, or I can't even remember, it might have been 2,000. It was a lot of money. A few £1,000s to win a meaningless trial. You kind of like zone out. You kind of like, you really become the observer. It's almost like you leave your body experience. Well, there was an element of that. Like when I was first going through this, like, oh fuck, I've been hacked. Is this the end of my YouTube career? And you know, I can't put words to it, but I went into this sort of zoned out place. But also there was a recognition of, like, you know, the Tom of 5 years ago was just being like, God damn it, external meltdown, external meltdown, external meltdown. But even in this like intensity and despair, there was a like, okay, so what is this teaching me? And, you know, a surrendering to it. But then there was also a part of me that really wanted to solve it. Now I knew that this family that I'd moved out of the house for, that was moving into the nicer half of the house that I had previously been in, was arriving around 5 or 6 o'clock. I wasn't looking forward to it, you know, it's a semi-detached house. I hadn't really considered what nationality they'd be or anything like that. But you know, it wasn't something I was looking forward to. And about 3 in the afternoon, a horde, I can only describe them as a horde, started walking up to the house. It was about 12 of them. And they weren't in a car, they didn't... It didn't feel good, you know, it didn't feel like, so the ones that are in there now, who I am going to moan about, but very clearly well off, very clearly middle class. You can just tell in how they hold themselves, like, yes, they're noisy, they're very noisy, but they're nowhere near, they're the least noisy locals that I've been around so far. You know, you can just, basically you can tell, as what happens with wealth and middle class culture. There's some cows shagging, or trying to shag. They all get atomized. You know, you end up with kids in rooms on screens rather than families round tables. So I don't think it's really a very good thing, but from my point of view, it's a very good thing. I'd much rather them be in their room and isolated and silent than around a table doing the ho, hey, hin chant. Which looks amazing, and I'm sure he's great to be proud of. I'm not knocking it, but, you know, I'm not part of it, so, you know, I just don't want to hear people shouting. So this fucking horde of what looked like working class locals starts walking up to house, 12 of them. I'm just like, you're fucking kidding me. And I don't know what happened to them, because it wasn't them. I don't know where they hoarded off to. And they didn't have a car or anything. It was like, how are you renting this house? Like, it just didn't look right. It didn't feel right. And they ended up disappearing. So obviously it wasn't right. I wanted to carry on walking, but they look a bit menacing, don't they? The daft thing is, though, is I drive past them. They come up to my house. Like, I'm forced to go around them. But when it's out here, I'm like, ooh, I better not go past them. What happened next? Alright, so they didn't turn up. I'm sat there with no fucking internet thinking I've been hacked. And then I think, let's try and do something about this. And you know, can you even imagine how big this is? So I was like, if this happened to me in England, I'd go to a friend's house and I'd use their internet and I'd put that screenshot in the internet into ChatGTP on their phone and say, what the fuck's this? Or I'd go to my mum's house, you know, or I'd go to a library if I was as isolated as I am out here. But there's nowhere, like, other than going to a shop and asking for help. You know, there's the cafe guy. I go to a cafe quite a lot, Mr. Dung. But he's so nervous. Like, if I asked to use his phone, I just know he'd freak out. So basically, I didn't even have a way of asking the internet, like, is it possible for someone to hack you in this way? What does this internet traffic intercepted mean? I didn't have anything. I couldn't do anything. And in my head, I'm thinking, well, the only way they can have done this is somehow by, like, finding my email, which isn't hard. It's on all my YouTube videos. And, like, seeing which devices are connected to that. I mean, I didn't know how they'd done it, but basically, the only ways I could imagine that they'd managed to knock out all 3 of my devices meant that if I was to buy a 4th device, the same thing's going to happen the minute I log in under my emails and stuff like that. So I'm then obviously thinking ahead, like, I'm in Vietnam, I've got X amount left of my visa, you know, I'm okay for those days, but I can't book a flight, I can't organise a new visa. I mean, I literally can't do anything. I can't even Google where can I buy a SIM card. You know, I can't Google information about SIM cards. I can't do anything. So at this moment, I'm feeling pretty fucked. So, interestingly, I've been called to silence, to nothingness. I've talked a lot about my screen addiction recently, talked a lot about how it seems that I am being shown and put into situations that are really making me see and feel that, and therefore hopefully let go of that. And that is happening in my life, just much more stillness, much more silence. You know, ironically, the night before this, unbelievable, no screen time. The night before this, I had a fire. I had my first fire in this house has got a gorgeous fire pit area. I had my first fire, and I just listened to Luda Coney, is it? Or Luda, the piano guy. Didn't look at a screen all night. So I'd had a real breakthrough. And then, like, I'm just like, well, why would the universe, God, source, consciousness, why wouldn't it just naturally progress that? Why wouldn't it just, you know, okay, take my phones out, but don't do what I'm going to tell you next. You know, that would make a lot of sense, actually, to take my phones out, to literally take my phones away from me. But what doesn't make sense is at the same time it does that, it moves in this Vietnamese family, who are lovely. I mean, it's just, the culture is just very different. Like, what I'm going to comment now is not bad, it's just a completely different culture. From my perspective, it is bad. But it's not that they're, you know, it's just how it is here, you know. So semi-detached house, wooden doors into both houses with a little wooden wall around it. So basically, if you're outside that, you know, noise travels through wood, like, it might as well not be there. And there's a shared driveway. Doesn't even begin to come into their consciousness that if they stand on the driveway and just talk, but it is shouting, that that's all just going to come straight into my house. Like, there's no awareness out here around your noise affecting other people, it seems, because I think they're just brought up in it and it's just normal. It's not like, it's not considered rude to be noisy like it would be in England, unless you're obviously surrounded by the new English, and then you might as well be in fucking Bangladesh, so you're just gonna get whatever shit you get. So they're like, it's like they've taken over the drive. I guess they were smoking out there. So there's about 6 or 8 of these. It's like 3 generations. And they're just like going out onto the drive constantly. And they shout at each other. So some of them will go for a walk and one of them will come out the door and be like, hey, wine. Like they think it's all right to have a conversation over 50 meters when there's someone living in the house next door. It's very bizarre for a middle-class Englishman who's used to, like, you know, living in semi-detached houses in England, where the worst you're going to get is someone's dog barking, and after 5 minutes they're going to have stopped it because of the shame and embarrassment that we all live under in the UK, the extreme repression. But it does make for a polite society until you get the dinghy men next door, which everyone has now. So my parents have just had to move house. You know, on one side they have Chinese, on the other side they have the groomers. And this is in a very middle class area in Sheffield, like fucking the best. But there's still fucking refugees are welcome here. You know, they just got unlucky. And there's bad white people too, so we might as well just invite all the shit from all around the world in. So this is about 5 o'clock. I'm sat there with no way of escaping myself, no stimulation, and I'm having to listen to this fucking family. And then the family go out, and I think, oh, thank God, I might actually have a peaceful evening. They brought 2 dogs with them. One of them is, well, any doodle or noodle or poodle, I just think is fucking shit. So it's a Labradoodle, you know, your standard fucking retard dog in England. Actually, Cockapoo, that's a standard dog that the retard gets in England. Labradoodle, if they're a bit more daring. Actually, a really nice dog, super friendly, just comes straight up to me once to be forced. Really nice dog, but stupid, like all these doodles. And then I see the rat. This little rat scamping about. Such a low IQ in this dog. You know, it's like a Patterdale pug cross. I mean, just the worst. Like, you can see it's sort of like devil eyes. So basically, it's just stupid. It's like the sub-Saharan of the dog world. Just completely in the external, looking for drama all the time, ready to go at any minute, start screaming and oh, at any minute. So this family go out, and this dog just starts going mental. It's literally, I mean, that is quite accurate, that sound, but it was worse. It's like the worst kind of dog bark ever. Had it been the bigger Labradoodle barking, woo, 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 it would have been annoying, but the vibration is way better. Like that high pitched. It is. It's like the low IQ dog bark. It's amazing. So suddenly I'm sat there with no fucking internet, no nothing. I text the owner of the house and I'm like, yo, the internet's not working. She was like, oh, I'll do something about that. Don't hear from her for 3 hours. Text her like, any updates? She texts me saying, that she's logged it, basically. And then she texts me saying, okay, they found the broken wire, it will be fixed in the morning. So at that point, I think it's about 8 o'clock, and I'm like, right, okay, I need to go and get a SIM card, because I think I could probably handle this no internet situation, if it wasn't for the yapping rat next door. But I can't handle it without that. No, I never go out at night. I never go out at night. I don't like driving at night. I just don't like it at all. Especially like I'm really remote out here. Like it's borderline scary driving on these roads at night because obviously they're not lit up. And it's funny actually. I came out here because of this fucking nightmare I'm telling you about. I came out here at about 6 o'clock at night and it was super misty, and I was a bit scared. I had chonged, and I started thinking, hang on, other bears, other jaguars, other psychopaths in Vietnam. I'm just gonna go and shit myself. 1 minute. Oh my god, it's like a fucking coma. Jesus Christ. Even eat a fucking kilo of light cheese last night. Why can't I mean, I've done well. I haven't shat out here for about 10 days. Since I moved here, actually, I guess because it's not as far to the toilet and all that, but yeah, there was no holding that coma in. Oh well, that's okay. Where did we get to with the story? So yeah, I cracked and I was like, I need a SIM card. Like I just have to have something other than that fucking dog yapping non-stop. Why is the camera gone shit? But no, there was no SIM card shops open, couldn't find anything, and you know, I was going in with a really bad negotiating position because I hadn't done any research. I didn't know what the cost should be. I'd done the research a few weeks ago, but I'd kind of forgotten. So basically they could tell me anything when I got to the shop. It was just, but anyway, and I decided that's fine, I'll just get scammed. Like, I can't fucking deal with tonight. You know, you're just lying there at like 8 PM, just like willing the night to end. Just like, can the next 4 hours, like I can't fall asleep for another 4 hours. Can it just fuck off? Because this is agony. So I accepted I was going to be scammed, all that, drove around. So basically I drove for about 45 minutes, nothing. Almost ran out of petrol as well. So I mean, it could have been so much worse. I've got this really cheap bike where the petrol gauge doesn't work basically. And realised, you know, after I'd driven a few kilometres, like, shit, I've got no petrol. Like, that could have been a fucking nightmare. So I get back about 9, 10 PM. And... no, sorry, I get back about 9 PM. And then this family come back. And so this family are really nice. Like, the girl who's about 15, 16... we've already discussed the internet situation. She's like, do you want a hotspot off my phone, share the data? I was like, yes, please. It didn't work, sadly. But, you know, it's really nice. Like, these people are so nice. But just very noisy. But, you know, as locals go, this wasn't a noisy family, but still quite noisy. Anyway, at least when so it's amazing. I go from, like, hating the fact that this family is next door and just this constant noise, to being like, oh, thank God the family have come back, because nothing's worse than that yapping dog yapping non-stop. And that was true, it was much better with them back, but then they start banging about. And I start going back into this whole gang stalker thing, because it just gets to the point where you're just like, I appreciate we live in a very noisy world, and I appreciate it's getting noisier by the minute. With every new technological advancement, enslavement, you know, it just gets noisier. And as people get more retarded, more conditioned, more traumatized, they need more noise. So it's just a horrendous cycle we find ourselves in. And now that all white countries are being invaded with brainless animals, and those of us that have a foresight to see what's coming and the ability to leave are leaving, you know, even the quiet parts of the world are just descending into absolute chaos and just low IQ and no impulse control savagery. So yeah, it's a piece of shit, really. But yeah, it's left me in this place of just like shit. So I was basically at the point where, well, before I found this house 10 days ago or something now, I was done with Vietnam. It was over. Like, I was just like, yeah, thank you for the time. Thank you for the kindness, thank you for the love, thank you for the experience, but we're done. Yo, too noisy, we're getting a divorce. And then I found this house and I started thinking, oh well. You know, because where I am, the lat is incredible. Like, it's got a low, like, look, I'm wearing a fucking top in Vietnam. Like, it's got a European climate because it's 1,400 meters up. I've got pickleball here, I've got the gym, I've got yoga. I struggle with the food, to be honest. People say Vietnamese food is amazing, and I used to say that, but to be honest, I struggle with it. Because I only want to eat red meat, so I'm very limited. Because they just fucking love pork out here, love it, and chicken. So it's very hard to find red meat. It's not very hard, but it's just very limiting. You can't really have any local Vietnamese cuisine, because none of it has red meat in it. So I think the reason, right, so I realised, you know, when I say yesterday was a very traumatic day, you know, it's not like I got raped, it's not like a migrant moved next door permanently, or, you know, it's not like I live in Birmingham and I've had to watch my town just turn into, you know, Mumbai or somewhere horrendous. It's not real trauma, but it kind of is, because it's not the sort of trauma you can ring your mum up about and become a victim over and, oh, look at me, and try and get attention like all of these fucking retards do in this world. it is the sort of trauma that just fucking makes you think, I can't do this anymore. I just can't do it anymore. Like, there's just no escape. Like, even when I put all my focus on just finding a peaceful place, you know, I'm not trying to get anything from life anymore. All I ask for is for enough people to watch my videos, which I think I put enough value in for that to be deserved. Enough people to watch my videos for me to be able to survive. And I'm very grateful that the universe has decided that that's an equation that right now is going to work out. And then I don't really ask for anything else other than peace, to just be left alone. I don't want cars, I don't want bitches, I don't want any sort of sexual anything. I don't want any sort of interaction, I don't want friends. I've had 2 people in the last 2 days ask for my number. The first one I managed to say no to. The first one I was just like, oh no, sorry, I don't do friends. And he was a bit like gone out because they're so social out here, like they just can't even imagine that concept. He was asking for my WhatsApp. And it was a bit awkward, but I feel like I did the right thing, because it won't be nearly as awkward as actually getting text messages off him and then just inevitably ignoring him. Right, so then yesterday with this phone, so this is when I thought I was being hacked. Oh, I'd never finished right off, did I? I went into a computer shop and a really nice lad spoke great English, really friendly. He could see that I was stressed. And he was like, don't worry, I'm gonna sit with you until we solve this. Like, amazing. So basically what he did is he just gave me his phone to ask Gemini some questions. Gemini basically explained it was my VPN. So that whole hacking thing wasn't a thing, but it was very real for me for about 4 hours. So I switched off my VPN and my phone started working. I was like, oh great. And then I get back to the villa and the internet's down. Which I didn't know before because I'd had this fucking VPN thing. I thought it was more serious than that. So it was like a whole double whammy. Like, my VPN spazzed out and the internet in the villa stopped at the same time. So even when I got back, I still had the nothingness, but at least I didn't have the yapping dog. I just had banging, lots and lots of banging until they all went to their rooms. And then it was pretty quiet from about 10 p.m. Honestly, this music is unreal. Like 9:30 in the morning, like so loud, you probably can't hear it. But like just that, the whole of that valley is listening to that one person's music. And that's totally normal and totally accepted out here. It's just bizarre. It's just so the other way around. You know how in England, like, you have to be an absolute reprobate to make that level of noise. And like the whole neighbourhood would hate you, and most people would be shamed into being quiet unless they're obviously off a dinghy. Unbelievable. So yeah, it just leaves me with this morning. I just woke up like, I can't do it. I just can't do another day. Because it's not like these big, massive traumas that activate you, like going to jail or losing a business, or, that activate you to fight back and survive. And there's things you have to. This is just like, I can't even exist. I can't find a space anywhere in this world, it seems, where I won't either be under a tyrannical government that's actively... Have you just seen this case in Canada? This thing in Canada is unreal. I can't remember names, I can't remember details, but it's a lot worse than what I can remember. And it's the second time they've done it. So basically someone like me, but way more intelligent, who's really looking into things, has been pulled over by the police and got certified as mad in his car. So a doctor just came up, looked at him, didn't ask him any questions, and went, yeah, he's certified. And now he's being locked up in a mental institution, and they're going to start injecting him with medication, which will basically just wipe his brain. Make him brain dead. And they've already done it to someone. It's just fucking horrendous. In fact, it's so bad, I'm going to put a clip about it here.
We are living in a reset right now because Canada arresting people for health issues is exactly what happened in the 1800s. We'll come back to her video in 1 second, but let me show you what I mean. My mind was just absolutely blown when I saw her video. So in the 1800s, there were insane asylums literally everywhere, like probably more the amount than schools that we even have today. We'll go over who was in these insane asylums in 1 minute, but I'm sure you're already starting to put that together. every city had their own insane asylums. And while this was going on, something else really weird was going on at the same time. We'll get to that in a second. So what were these insane asylums actually for? You're not even gonna believe me. It was for religious fanatics. Maybe someone who remembered something massive happening. Of course, all these buildings we cannot build today, in the Great Fire of every single city in the United States and also across the ocean. Seriously, type in the Great Fire of in any state and you'll see all at the same time there is fires around the entire US. The most noticeable one, get this, just smack in the face, the most noticeable one was the 1666 Great Fire, I believe London. But did you know, while all these insane asylums were being full of these religious fanatics and everything around the US was being completely destroyed and founded, that we had these trains coming in with thousands and thousands of children on them. It gets so weird because if you look at, old black and white pictures from like the early 1800s, you'll see like New York and stuff with no people in there. Then all of a sudden, all these trains start bringing all these children here and moving them around the United States. Then all of a sudden pictures pop up of the children covered in coal and dirt, and for some reason they're working. Like, where is all the adults? Wait a minute, are they in the insane asylums? And these religious fanatics, do they remember what stuff was like before all this craziness went down? Even more so, how could they change an entire narrative? Like everything, all the history that one thinks to themselves, how could they change all of that? What if I told you that cloning technology is not new and the Cabbage Patch Kids, like the toys you love so much as children, maybe some of you, they were actually real children. Real children on postcards for sale in the United States while these orphan trains were going on. And they also had baby incubators, as if they were growing these children like cabbage.
So I'm going to certify you under the Mental Health Act. We're going to bring you to a hospital, do testing on you.
What I'm about to show you is absolutely terrifying.
And this is Dr. Emery. He's a resident psychiatrist. What we do is we go to people to see them where they are. You're going to have to turn that off.
So just one sec.
Yeah.
What the officer just told me is that, you and I can set up a meeting and we can chat then. So why don't we do that, okay?
Yeah.
I'm not turning the camera off. I have a legal right to keep the camera on. If you don't want to make the appointment now, we can do it at another time. But that's what the officer just asked that we do. So why don't we do that?
So I'm going to certify you under the Mental Health Act. We're going to bring you to a hospital, do testing on you, and you're going to talk to a psychiatrist in a controlled environment because we don't believe that you're going to attend an appointment.
I won't attend. I've never been given a chance to attend. What is going on? I was never given a psych eval or nothing. He just looked at me and said, "You're certified."
Yeah. Okay. So I don't know why, but it's up to the doctor. So if you.
But no, he didn't even give me an eval. He just looked at me and said, "I'm certified, man."
I get that.
Please consider what you're doing, and please think about the fact that I'm more than happy to come in for an appointment. I'm happy to go through and do everything properly. Okay, I've been completely compliant with everything.
Yes, you've been really good with me, Nicholas. But listen, that's his call, and unfortunately, we can't go back on that.
Guys, can
You know what's really frustrating about it is it's just the same playbook. It's exactly what we did in the 1800s. People laugh at me when I talk about the orphanages and the mental asylums they had in the 1800s and the mud flood and the Great Reset, but it's right there. There's all the evidence is right there, and they're doing it again. They're doing it again now. They're repeating the same fucking playbook now. But of course, no one fucking has looked at when they did it 150 years ago. No one can possibly, and even if they have, they're like, oh my god, I can't believe they did that then. It's like it's like when people talk about China and Mao and the fact that he got all the idiots to kill the clever people. And they talk about it as if that's an old regime. It's the same regime. It's exactly the same regime. Just like the same people that created the Great Reset in Europe have now created the fucking Restore Party and Labour and all of them. Every single one. And people seem to think that we might have democracy now and our votes might actually count when they literally reset a whole generation of people and sent you off to a mental asylum if you acknowledge what had happened in the past. It's just incredible. And this is what I mean, I can't. So I've left my homelands I've accepted that there's a genocide going on of my people. We've gone from 30% to 8% in the last of world population. Yet we, in the last 3 decades, yet we call all the other majorities minorities. So funny, isn't it, how we refer to Africans as ethnic minorities, or Indians. There's fucking millions of them. Of course there wouldn't be if we just allowed natural selection to take place, but we seem to have people in charge that think we need to fund the birth of people who can't look after themselves and therefore have to come to our countries but can't be part of our countries because, you know, they've not been socialised into first world and they just don't have the brain capacity or the experience to be able to be part of it. So I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm back in the story of, right, I'm leaving Vietnam, try a different country. I mean, I'm pretty sure the next country I'm going to try, I'm pretty sure this will be frowned upon. It's awful. It's just vile. It's so selfish. I just can't believe that people put up with it. But I don't think they care. I don't think they even notice. You know, I'll have a chat with one of the locals about noise. And they all acknowledge it's a fucking noisy country. But I don't think they actually hear it. Certainly not like I do. But I'm trying to get to the deeper levels now. Like, it's just left me with this despair, this like, I just can't motivate myself. Just knowing that wherever I go or whatever I do, I'm always going to be assaulted with the low vibrations of retards. And the only way, yeah, I mean, you know, well, I don't preach anything anymore. I actually preach nothingness. You know, like, to believe anything is of the mind and of the ego. It's a coping mechanism. It comes from fear. It's trying to understand the absolutely ununderstandable, the great mystery. But if there is one belief system that I align with, or you know, what seems to be the reality that's unfolding in front of us, is this reflection thing, that the external does reflect our internal. Oh no, sorry, I was meant to say that surrendering is the way, but not trying to control the external and surrendering to what is unfolding, what God has planned for you. Although I fucking hate that, because that's clearly of the ego. You know, as if you're anything significant, as if God even knows what you are, or he's like watching you specifically. Like, it's just totally of the ego. The whole chosen one thing, the 4400 thing. So what I'm going to say now, it just goes against all that. But then what do you do? Like, I can't live without noise. So there's like two options really. There's working really hard and pumping out lots of content, maybe doing lives and tripling my income, it would have to be, so that I could rent this whole house that's designed for 8 people to myself. Or I could move to somewhere like Japan. I say somewhere like Japan, I mean, I think Japan is probably the only country in the world that honours silence. And they're letting a load of fucking ooga boogers in now. It's devastating. Oh, and guess what's happened since they've done that? A load of their temples have caught fire, like a ridiculous amount, like double figures in a year. It's just fucking outrageous. Honestly, they're just horrendous. It's so bad. And we've been so indoctrinated to think that they're all right, to think even that they're the same as us. It's amazing. It's amazing. And you really see it when you start living in non-white countries, just how different we are. So different. And this multiculturalism thing is such a con. Such a con. Fucking awful. And you see it also like with how they are about us, and they're spot on. You know, we are economic, not even migrants, we're just on short-term visas. We're economic things that provide money. And whilst like some of the Vietnamese locals enjoy interacting with us and clearly like having us around because we spend money, I imagine, there's no stories that we add anything, or that we're needed in any way, or that their culture is enhanced by us, or that if we didn't provide money that we would even be here. Like, there's just no way. Like, clearly tourists are seen as a pest, and rightfully so, because we're outsiders. Like, we can't be anything else. But there's a balance there between, do we put up with this other culture of annoying people that bring in a really big percentage of our GDP, and like, that's the balance that they're striking. But in England, we're pretending that these people actually add something. Because they don't add anything. Yeah, you might get the odd one, but overall, they definitely don't add anything. Anyway, that wasn't the point of the video. The point of the video was just this. I feel better now being for a walk and vented. But just like, how do I do another day? So, alright, so these fucking people are here. It's Saturday when I record this. We're here for the weekend. So today's going to be horrendous. Luckily, they've gone out this morning and they've left the grandma at home. So the grandma, her presence of corpse, basically, seems to be keeping the dog chilled out enough for it to not just yap non-stop. So hopefully she just sits in there all day and it will actually be fine. I'm going to go and buy, so I was told the internet will be fixed this morning. It'll be almost 10 o'clock. When I left the house at 9 o'clock this morning, it wasn't fixed. Right, yeah, so I'm going to go and buy a SIM card. And if I watch videos in, is it 460? Some shit bandwidth or whatever you call it. Then apparently I'm going to have 5 hours of YouTube time. I'm going to upload this video in a cafe. And I'm told that the internet will come back on today. So, hopefully grandma stays in all day, dog doesn't yap, I get the internet. So I haven't posted any videos for 2 days either. And that has a big effect, because it just keeps the momentum going. Like, my routine is I wake up, I make coffee, and I respond to comments. But I haven't had, and that just passes an hour. Like, honestly, it is just getting through the day for me now. It's not like I'm not in despair, and I appreciate, comparatively, my life is beautiful. And I'm very proud of the existence that I've created for myself. But it's still, there's just nothing that interests me anymore. There's nothing other than like an individual cracking open, an individual being vulnerable and having breakthroughs like that. Like, whoa, that ignites something in me. Nature, animals still ignite a little something in me, but not that much. There's just literally nothing. Like, there's just nothing that interests me to look forward to. So I think back to when I played squash avidly, and I'd be excited about it. My ego would be activated about it. It would matter to me whether I won. It would matter to me where I was in the league. It would matter to me if I was improving. Whereas now I go and play pickleball, and it's enjoyable, but it is just like. Enjoyable is in like, oh, that passed 4 hours, and it was a good way to pass those 4 hours. I've had a sweat, my belly might be a little bit smaller. I might have fucking staved off death for another fucking few days. But there's no like, oh wow, pickleball, I'm gonna get better, oh, I'm gonna beat you, I'm gonna be better than you. Like, there's just no ego attachment anymore. Like, it's actually really boring when you have observed your ego for so long that it doesn't have the maniacal, the total control of you. Where you're not even aware of it. Like all these fucking plebs who are still trying to argue about, whether we're on a spinning ball or not, because their ego is so attached to being right. It's just so pathetic. It goes against all their senses, all logic, and all facts. But, it's what they've been told is right, and they have to defend that with their life, otherwise their ego will be shattered. You know, like getting to the point where you're so far past that actually nothing interests you. Like, I almost wish I cared enough to argue. I wish I cared enough to want to beat someone at pickleball. Yoga is hell. I do it 3 or 4 times a week. It's hell. I hate every minute of it. Whereas I remember doing yoga 4 or 5 years ago and feeling like, oh, this stretch is nice. Hey, it's just agony now. I just hate it. And I don't think that's because I'm older and more decrepit. I think it's because I'm just not as deluded. You know, my ego used to get activated by doing, oh, I do yoga, I'm so spiritual. You know, whereas now I literally just do it like, it passes an hour. It stops me just fucking smoking and masturbating for that hour. And there's this sort of notion of like, okay, one day I'm going to be old and I don't want to be decrepit. And I'm pretty sure yoga is one of the best ways to stay like flexible and supple and all that. There's just nothing. There's nothing I want to do. You know, I just look forward to going back to bed, and I look forward to peace, and I look forward to silence. That's it. And that's why I feel like I just can't do another day. But at the same time, I'm nowhere near ending it, like, because that would just be ridiculous, because my life's fucking beautiful and easy. And don't forget, all of this is on top of the tyranny. All of this is on top of the fact that everything I was told by my parents, the school, the system was a lie. But, you know, the fact that we have a group of people controlling the world, certainly my country, but it's actually the world anyway, that every single decision is about how they can harvest our energy and how they can fuck us over. Like, can you imagine if we lived in a world that was run by humans for a start, rather than loose farming fucking reptilians? But if that's too much for you, can you imagine if we just weren't, if we actually had a world that was run by people who were trying to do the right thing for the people, for the country? Like, this world could be amazing, like, because it is quite amazing. And that's with people deliberately fucking everything, like literally everything. There's not one political decision in England, there's not one political decision in your life that's been for your benefit, not one. Like, everything the politicians have done in my lifetime has been about taking away your rights, taking away your freedoms, taking away your abundance, taking away your connection to God. Every single one. Can you imagine if that was the other way around, how it would be? So for those of you watching, like, oh, he's moaning about, like, you know, white privilege. Yeah, my life is beautiful because I've created that. But what frustrates me is, on top of my homelands being invaded, absolute treason, absolute betrayal, all of our lives being absolutely destroyed by, you could call them the small hats, you could call them the reptilians. It just depends how far you've gone, how much of your ego you've let go of, so you can, you know, consider all the possibilities. Because it is mental. It's fucking the truth is mental, and it's you know, it's too much for the egoic person to even comprehend, because they'd have to let go of so many of their belief systems to be able to allow the truth in. Anyway, I feel much better now, so thanks for listening, thanks for being part of the video. Please click some buttons, drop a comment, I really appreciate all that. And yeah, thank you for listening, because I do feel a lot better. I feel like I can face the day. I'm going to wash my shitty ass. I mean, I'll have a shower. And then I'm going to go and buy a SIM card. I've managed to do some research. So I'm going to go and get 5 gigabytes a day for £6 a month. I mean, fucking amazing. And hopefully the internet's going to come back on. And hopefully this fucking family are going to stay out all day. In fact, their fucking car's back. They're fucking back, man. Oh, fuck me. Right, so they should fuck off some point tomorrow. And I get my peace back. I mean, I was just trying to tell myself last night as I was listening to them banging around, like, I've got a right deal here. Like, if I have to listen to them for 2 days out of 19 days, you know, it's amazing. Where I'm living is amazing. Can you hear the music from over there now? It's just non-stop, honestly, it's non-stop. It's just non-stop. And I can cope with that. I'd got to the point where the dogs and the music, I was like, fine. But, I like, whoever's designed these houses, like, why is that middle wall in between the two houses, why is that not super thick? I think that is just a standard fucking wall. A stud wall. Like, you can hear everything. Oh, now the builders have started. Let's just get my shitty ass washed and go from there. Thanks for watching.